Good afternoon. Glider 101 here today. Yeah, you're seeing something completely different today. What I got for you today is a review of the WLToys F959 powered glider. Now, why am I reviewing a glider when I am normally reviewing quadcopters? Well, if you've seen a lot of my previous videos when I'm up in the mountains there, along the LA Aqueduct Road, there's a lot of gently sloping hills there that face down into the wind, and they're perfect for slope soaring. Actually, I've even done slope soaring with some of my quadcopters in some of my videos, but in my heart, I've always wanted to get into powered gliding slope soaring, and I'm going to try to do that in the near future in future videos. But for that, I'd like to first look at some of the available power gliders that are out there, some of the low-cost ones, like this, the WLToys F959. Now, this costs in the range of about $50 to $60 from various vendors. It's perfect for a beginner or someone who hasn't flown in a fixed-wing aircraft in quite some time, like me, and that's what we're going to do today. This particular aircraft is a 3-channel aircraft, which means it has throttle control for the motor, it has rudder, and it has elevator control. Other than that, it does not have aileron control. I'm going to have to control that through use of the rudder and the speed of rudder turns to try to balance it out. Now, we do have somewhat of a windy day here today. It's not strong wind, it's thermal breezes, about 5 knots or so coming from the east. There is a possibility that I might be able to enter thermal today. We're going to find out. Okay, one of the first things we need to do here is, well, I already had checked outside of the wind here, the center of gravity of the aircraft. For this particular aircraft, center of gravity is about 33 millimeters back from the leading edge of the wing, and you can just put your fingers at that point and see if it balances itself, and it does with the battery installed. The interior compartment, you have a 7.4 volt 300 milliampere hour battery up in the forward nose of this. You have the flight control board and the servos located right about there. In fact, there it is. I don't know if you can see it or not in this video, but let's go right into a flight. I'm going to plug this in. The battery is plugged in. Again, I had balanced it before coming out here. Put it on the ground here. Give it a few seconds. Then turn on the transmitter. Now, the transmitter is it looks like your usual WLToys transmitter. No different than most other transmitters. With your throttle control, okay, there's your rudder. I thought the rudder would be over here, but the rudder's on the right, and the elevator is also on the right. Now, the wind is blowing from that direction. Since this is a single-engine aircraft and the propellers are turning that way, we're going to get some torque trying to pull the aircraft, turn the aircraft to the left. I'm going to have to counter that with some rudder to the right. Once we get in the air, I'm going to try to trim it. So here goes the first flight of this aircraft. Cross your fingers, folks. Here we go. Oh, it flies. It climbs nicely. I'm just gliding now. There is a thermal up there. I'm gliding. I'm just going to glide it. Let's see if I can bring it by us. It's trying to fight that wind. I just got barely any throttle on it at all here. Going into this wind here. But yeah, again, I'd like to get into slope soaring with this. Just gentle throttle on this to fight that wind. Okay, we're going to try it again. This wind is interfering with this very light aircraft. But then again, when I'm going to be slope soaring, I got to be able to go back and forth along the slope with that wind. that was the first flight. And hopefully I can continue flying without nosing it into the ground. We're going to start up here at this end of the field, since the wind's blowing it down to that end of the field. Going for another flight. Hardly any throttle at all with this wind. It's been a while, folks. Getting into fugoid oscillations there. This is fun. Again, I haven't done this in years. I'm enjoying it. But it's very similar to flying the quadcopter. Well, actually, it's a little bit different. A little more throttle. Let's get some more throttle, get up in the air. Not too much throttle, though. I don't want to get into those oscillations. I'm climbing. Let's see if I can keep it into this wind. Okay. Got into a fugoid there. Now this wind, again, I shouldn't be out here for the first time with this quadcopter in the wind, but I'm trying my best, folks, to keep it in the air without smacking it nose down into the ground. It's way down at the end of the field, turning slowly, pulling throttle. See if I can get back up here. Flying it nose first into the wind. Now, I'm applying some trim here, hopefully to reduce those fugoid oscillations. I forgot to do that at the beginning here. Gently turning it. The wind's changed, which means we're probably entering a thermal. You got to be real gentle with these rudder on these. You don't want to pitch it over. That wind's picking up too strong, so I'm cutting back the throttle. We're going to bring it down. This wind is really picking up, folks. Let's see if I can bring it down without crashing it. Got the throttle down low. And I'm worried, I think I'm entering a thermal here, the way this wind's picking up. I don't want to go into thermal just yet. I'm going to actually pitch it down some to bring it down. The F959, this is a nice little flyer. It's a beginner's aircraft, and good for somebody who hasn't flown in a while. So, let's bring you in. And that wind is picking up way too much, folks. But that's the first flight of the F959. And we got a thermal up there too. But there'll be more flights of this. This is the inaugural flight. I hope you enjoyed this flight, this Quadcopter 101, also known as Glider 101 now, with the Sky King F959 from WLToys. Hope you enjoy this flight. I did. It was interesting. Okay, just as I said, you know, it's too windy to be flying, that thermal dies down, and now there's no wind at all. So we're going back up again, folks. We're going for more flying of this thing. I'm going to take advantage of this break or cut in the thermal. Here we go. More power. Let's try that again. Make sure our center of gravity is there. I forgot I had trimmed this thing. Oh, it's flying nice now without that thermal bothering us. Look at that thing go. Now, this supposedly has a range of 200 meters. I would love to see what the range is, but I'm not going to send it out 200 meters because I don't want to go beating the bush for this. Okay, I'm flying through the sun. Cut the throttle a bit here. It's flying nicely. Now, you're probably having a hard time seeing it up there with my Mobius camera here. And here I go doing something I shouldn't do, flying close to the sun. Turning it. Cutting throttle back. I'm going to bring it down lower. I know I got a lot of battery power left in this thing. It is a glider after all, and I've been flying at relatively low throttle. Flies very nicely when there's no wind. But then again, you know, like I said, that's my purpose. I want to learn to fly this thing in the wind so I can do slope soaring. Ooh, there we go. It's hit a breeze there. Cutting back on that throttle a bit. Reduce those oscillations there. Okay, a wind is picking up. I can see it hitting that thing. But it's still flying great. I don't know, here, I'll show you my hands on this thing here. Real low throttle. Not much throttle needed at all to fly this thing. I should get away from the pits there. I don't want to smack into anything there. A little more throttle. Let's see if I can bring it overhead here. Okay, starting to get the feel for it again. Boy, when you don't fly one of these for a while, damn. More throttle. Gently on the throttle. Gentle on the throttle. You really don't want to be too jerky. So it is kind of fun. It is actually fun. It's been a long time, but you know, the first time I ever flew RC, I must have been about 15. And I'd gotten it was a top of the line transmitter and RC servos that somebody had donated to the Salvation Army. I got it for $1. And then I spent a good month building my own RC airplane to go with it. And the very first flight of that thing, after a month of building this thing, I took it out, and I had never flown before, and sure enough, it flew up great, about as high as that is right now. But then again, I overcorrected on the rudder, and it came down from up there, about that altitude there, straight down into the ground. So a lot of people that are, I think I got a thermal up there, I better cut the throttle down. Noob flyers, you really should practice on a simulator if you got the option of doing that, especially with fixed wing aircraft. Gyrocopters not as much, or not, yeah, quadcopters I mean, not as much. I'm gliding right now, it glides nicely. The they're more easier to fly than these. These things, fixed wing aircraft, you can actually make mistakes very easily with it. Boy, it's flying nice now though. Beautiful flyer. Hardly any throttle at all. And that thing just takes to the air. Let's cut up that throttle. Give it a little more throttle. Let's get back up in the air again. Let's get away from those bushes. Yeah, thankfully that thermal cut out. The thermal breeze we were experiencing here at the beginning. And now I got a chance to do more easier flying here. Here at Satellite Lake, model aircraft flying facility here in Ridgecrest, California. Okay, cutting throttle again. I'm high enough to glide some more. You got to cut back the throttle real slowly. You don't just pull it back. So you enter gliding state. Okay, coming back up again. Let's gentle on the throttle. Oh man, it flies beautifully. Again, this is the WLToys F959. I don't know why I haven't gotten back into this again earlier. Because I was distracted with quadcopters. But it is fun, and I am going to have a blast with this, slope soaring it. Let's try a right turn now. Gentle, gentle. Boy, it's hot out here in the desert. It's just about August here, the end of July. Normally, cut back the throttle. We're gliding. There's a thermal again, picking up again. At this time of year, it's relatively still air in the middle of the day, but you get these thermals. That's what you got to be careful of. And here comes another thermal. Okay, I'm going to call it quits now. So it's trying to fight that thermal here. I'm going to bring it down. Careful, careful. And okay, I'm not going to fly anymore today. But that's the total end of the flight of the F959. Boy, is that picking up. Good thing I got it down now. But anyways, see how much extended flight time you can get with one of these. As compared to a quadcopter where you can only, the toy quadcopters you fly for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. This thing can go easily at least 15 minutes, I believe. Maybe even longer, if you get into a nice slope soaring condition, or even thermals. But thermals are another issue entirely. I don't want to get into those. So this is Quadcopter 101. Hope you enjoy this flight. Again, this is the Sky King F959 from WLToys. Quadcopter 101, signing out.